Hi there, Mr. Evans here, just looking at this topic, changing business form. So I've pulled this out of the specification from the content here on the left hand side, reasons for choosing different forms of business and for changing business forms. Okay, so what's that talking about? So this is a slide I showed previously, looking at the different forms of ownership. I'm just going to focus on one part of that diagram, the private sector part, and particularly the movement that businesses might get from sole trader to public limited company, and very unlikely, but back again to sole trader. So moving really along this arrow here. And of course, the main reason that a business would want to do that would be to benefit from advantages that they don't currently enjoy. So for example, a sole trader may have started their business, the business may have grown, and they may be considering the fact that the business has got a lot bigger, the risks involved have got much bigger, and they would like to have the safety, the security offered by limited liability as a private limited company. Private limited companies may find that they have got to the point where it's difficult to raise additional funds, and they would like the benefits of being able to sell their shares on the stock market, and so therefore would move from being a limited company to being a PLC. Some companies that are PLCs may actually find that they don't like the media scrutiny. Their shareholders are putting pressure on them to make short-term profits, pay out large amounts of dividend. Some of the shareholders, owners, managers of that business may wish to take more control of that business, and therefore may buy out some of the other shareholders and take the company back to being a private limited company, so to gain more control. The key thing to make sure you're aware of is the advantages and disadvantages of each of these forms of ownership, which I've been through in another video. This is a popular, a typical question that the exam board AQA do like to ask. Should a business move from one form of ownership to another? You'd have to look at the context of the business, what that business's aims and objectives are, and try and think about how the movement between the different forms of ownership would affect the achievement of those objectives, the stakeholders, etc. Okay, so making sure that you're answering in the context of the business that you are talking about. Okay, so and of course we spoke in the last video about the movement of firms from the public to the private sector. Occasionally firms in the private sector may be renationalised. I'm thinking about some of the train companies. I believe it's the company that ran the West Coast Rail franchise had to be brought back under government ownership after it had been run by the private sector not terribly successfully. So just be aware of the different forms of ownership, their advantages and disadvantages, and in the context of an exam question, how the business would be affected, what advantages would it be able to get from moving business form, what might be the disadvantages of doing so. Okay, so that's changing business form.